Well, hi guys, so this is it. We finally get to put the Duramax together. We might as well talk about a few things first. As a disclaimer, these videos aren't going to be anything flash that you see on YouTube, like Built Not Bought, any of those build channels. My knowledge of filming, it's average. I don't even know what I'm doing at the moment, but I'm going to piece this together and try and make it okay. When you guys finally see this video, any comments, any suggestions, absolutely at all. Happy to hear to improve it, as this is something I'm going to continue to do. Something I've noticed already is I can't keep looking at the camera, keep looking down. I just have to work through that. Editing wise, when it comes to these videos, it's not going to be any professional level, it's just going to be pieced together. It's just a guy that's trying to have a go at this and see what he can do, not trying to be some next YouTube star, just doing this to show people what's happening, what goes into it, detailed, because there's none of this information I've found anywhere on YouTube or the internet. I've literally had to ask people to know this stuff, and I'm willing to share it. And I know a lot of guys are keen to see this, to know themselves. When it comes to building any engine, I guess I've learnt this for a few years through different people, and we'll just go from there. I guess for the guys that are new to see this, and well, new to meet me, I should have started with that. My name's Reese, I'm the face behind this. Fair few people know me. Look, there's comments that go around about, oh, I talk about this all the time. Well, I do. I'm excited about it. I want to get this done. It's been a long road to get to this stage of a short block sitting here. We've gone through a lot of issues. Had a fucked engine received, and I guarantee after this video is posted, the guy that supplied this engine will uproar about how this engine was fine when it left him. I'm sorry, but it's not. Look, I won't go into who it was, but they will make themselves known, guarantee 100%, because they have before when I've called them out on this. The engine was turfed. The only good thing was the block. Crank was ruined, heads were ruined, they've had to be fully rebuilt. New valves, guides, everything. Pistons were damaged, they had burning from overfueling, by the looks of it, and from a dribbly injector, multiple dribbly injectors that was showing signs of cracking in the pistons. That was the other thing, the injectors got sent off to get tested, and that proved even more the point that this engine did not run smooth when I was showed it. Look, I'm not trying to call them out, I just will not buy an engine from him again after the experience I've had and now having to spend the money to rebuild this. Now that falls into this category now, I guess. This project, I haven't got a name for it yet. A few names have been Project Duramax, Project Dirty Max, Project Full Send. The Full Send one has come from, I guess, the reason why this is happening. Literally when I was going to the engine shop to get the heads rebuilt was when we found further damage and confirmed from the injector tests as to why it happened. I literally rang the machine shop and said we might as well go all out. A lot of stuff has to be replaced already, so why skimp? I've decided that I am going to build this the way I would want it. The power I want, everything like that. So that's about it for that. Other than that, that's it. We'll get cracked into this. There will be close-up videos of the front end and doing some more important stuff. I will try to do it the best I can. Look, it's not going to be great, but just having a crack. Most of the video will be a time lapse of this whole engine going together. It is going to be a long video. I may break this up into a few parts when it gets posted. Let's see how it works, because the editing software I've got struggles a bit on the laptop I use, but we'll give it a crack. So I guess the other thing on that is, if it's too long, I probably will post a video of just all the detailed stuff with no time lapse in it to compress it down, because I don't see many people wanting to watch just a time lapse of this engine being built, and let alone me standing in front of the camera that's to my right. It's a bit of an awkward position. I wish I could go from my head above, but it's the best I can do at the moment. I could change it, but there's a lot of work that has to go in to get power to that camera to keep recording during the whole lot. I know I am saying a lot. Anyway, I'll get cracked into this, and thanks for watching, guys. If you do watch the whole lot, there will be a lot more of this stuff coming out in detail as the build progresses, once we get this engine built. Cheers. Right, so as you guys can see, engine's off the stand. Main reason is to get this rear plate on. It is a bit of a pain in the ass, but it's got to be done. So a few things with this. There's these coolant passages right here and here that line up with these two. They have O-rings on them, and this is the set of O-rings. You have to replace those O-rings every time you pull this off, because they do go brittle and stick to the aluminium, and you will have leaks if you do not replace them. A few guys have had to pull these plates off to replace the O-rings because they had started leaking before, and then you'll start seeing coolant coming out, these telltales, and then you know that these are leaking. Also, when this is on, it has to be sealed around this edge here with RTV. That's just how GM did it. It didn't even do a gasket. It's just like the LS engines. The stuff that I'm using is just what come with the gasket kit, which is the male RTV. I'm sure you could use any other grey type like I have used on LS's before without an issue. I am going to anti-seize all the bolts going into the back just in case I have to get this off again. I don't think I will have to, but you never know. It may have to come off at some point in time. Other than that, I'll get the RTV on and anti-seize the bolts, and then I'll bring you back with installing these gaskets and putting the plate on. Cheers. So I gotta apologise for that, guys. Putting that plate on, something happened with the camera and didn't want to record that last bit. It did get on a time lapse, so that'll be fine. This part here, a few people have asked me, because I actually borrowed these tools off me to be able to do it. These rear mains are a punch-in, well, the rear main and the front seals are a punch-in piece which has a brass ring on the inside which grabs the crank and then our sealing surface. A few people have made their own tools, but it actually is a different thickness on the top and bottom, as you're not going to be able to see, but it is designed to be able to hold the seal in and push it all in as one. So we'll chuck this on and then we'll get that flex plate on, and I'll probably have to fight with it for a bit, doing the bolts up. This might be a bit of a mission getting them that tight due to being how tight they are. Well, it's not going to be an issue getting them tight, it's so the engine doesn't rock over while doing it. That's pretty much all these are. Goes on, tool on, and then bounce it with a hammer. and then it should stop, just like that. Just might have to hit that top in a bit. And then smash your knuckles on the bolts hanging out, but that's it, and that's in. Simple as that. But if anyone is doing this and needs to be able to change their rear main or their front seals, just send either myself a personal message or the page. I'll be able to lend these out to anyone that needs them. I've also have the special pullers to be able to get the seals out, so you do not have to remove the plate to knock it all out. It literally just goes on and is designed to grab the inner race, you can't really see it, and then pull the whole lot off. It allows you to get the seal out without pulling these front or rear plates off, minimising you have to do the O-rings if you have to pull it off. And now we'll fight to get this flex plate on. Nothing really special about it, other than it is a Suncoast plate to suit what I'm doing. Now, stuff that's not really important is it's SIF approved, even though I'm not drag racing or doing anything stupid like that. It won't fly to pieces, just like the torque converter. Reason why I'm changing it, my old one had a bit of, well, it looked like it's had a bit of abuse, and they are known to tear once passing, well, the kind of power I'm going now. They didn't want to have any issues with this in the middle of nowhere, so went that unit. Also, those bolts that tighten it on, they're torque to yields, they are stretch bolts. You cannot reuse the flex plate bolts. There's been a few cases now in conversions and a few issues over in the States where people have reused them and the bolts have come undone even when torqued to spec, because they are torque to yield. For what the price is for the ARP bolts to go in to hold the flex plate on, it's worth it, because fuck having the flex plate coming off when you're driving. It's just going to cause a massive amount of damage to the trans and everything else. It's just not worth it. So if anyone else is doing this, just get the ARP bolts and get it done. Don't worry about the stock ones or ordering stock ones, and don't attempt to reuse them. I'm not using Loctite. I'm going to do this just like ARP normally does with their torque assembly lube. Same stuff as that. I buy it in bulk because I go through it and I actually use it on a lot of other bolts other than just the ARP stuff. So I'm not going to film doing this up because it's no reason for you guys to see it. It's just tightening bolts up and then me struggling with the big torque wrench to be able to get these to 250 foot-pounds without rocking the engine over. But we'll give it a fair crack, and we'll have to probably try and lock up the engine somehow so it doesn't spin while doing them. Anyways, we'll get back to it. Right, so I got to take the camshaft gear off to change this bolt here mainly first, and then I just want to double check something behind it. So when you only on the LMMs and newer, you have to do this. Let me just grab the camera. This may get a bit rough because I'm going to do it by hand without a tripod. So just hang on. So as you can see, I'll wait for it to focus. I'll give it. There we go. Sorry, it's real shaky. It's on this by hand. I can't get it to focus at the moment. As you can see, just about here, it's 2 gears. That's done to reduce the noise out of the gear train on these. So when you take that gear off, you have to lock it, as there's a big spring inside of it, and people have learnt the hard way that they don't stay together. As soon as you take that bolt off the front, those two will spin apart once you get off the keyway of the cam. So there's a little hole there. You can just see it there. You can put a 6mm bolt through there to lock the 2 gears together, and that's what I'll be doing to get this off, so I'll show you that now. The only bolt I got's a bit long, so have to do it with a nut to tighten up on it. Same thing, screw it in till it bottoms out. Well, especially something like this. Back it off a bit, and just got to do this nut up on it to keep it tight. Otherwise, yeah, these 2 gears will separate, and you don't want that because, well, just makes your life hell. It's an awkward position, but it would help if it turned around. So the other reason why I'm taking this off is because that machine shop put that on because they had to align the cam bearings, and these bolts are the same as, well, the harmonic balancer bolt and the flex plate bolts, head bolts, they're torque to yield. People have got away with reusing them, never had an issue, but for the price, it was like a few dollars, can get a brand new bolt to go in there and never have an issue with it or risk this coming loose. Really don't want one of these coming loose, especially an engine like, well, any engine really. If it's a few dollars, it's worth paying to peace of mind so you don't lose a camshaft gear. So we'll get this nut undone, and I'll pull the whole assembly off and I'll be able to show you these 2 gears properly, and that's that. So we've got the gear off, and not sure how well this is going to work and if you can see it, but and it doesn't want to focus. So hang on. See how that gear is offset at the moment where it's split? That's what happens. So once it comes off in contact with the main timing gear down here, that's where it will split. Now it does open up a bit, as you can see, if it will focus again. That's alright, you just don't want it to fly completely apart, otherwise you're pretty stuffed, as it's not easy to wind up from what I've been told, and at that point it's almost a throwaway item. So we'll put this back on. Now I'm sure everyone's going to ask where I'm getting all the torque specs from. On SoCal Diesel they pretty much give you everything. This here is pretty much what I'm using. You can see it's probably not going to work too well. Let me just zoom out, it should help. Nope. There we go, somewhat, but it's got everything from all the aftermarket stuff, ARP, and then every other single bolt that the engine has. Sorry that the video is not going to be the greatest, but it's going to have to do. Sorry about that. So I've already got the torque set into my torque wrench. There's a digital one. Probably get a bunch of comments, oh the digital's not that great, but oh well, it's the one I own. And you will have seen that I was tightening out the little bolts at about 17 foot-pounds of the big one. Why? It's the one I've got, it's the first one I grabbed, and I know it's accurate to be able to do it, even though it's going down so low, it's not that bad. On these cam gears, this retainer plate is actually a thrust bearing as well. There is oil that gets in here. You can kind of see. Look, I'm sorry if it's pretty average video, guys. I've said before, it's not going to be the best. There is gaps here where oil does feed back in and get behind this gear. And it mainly runs, as you can see, to running surface. So before even you put this on, you do want assembly lube on it. There was assembly lube on it from when I just pulled apart, but I cleaned it because I was going to put more on, just while I was double checking a few things. What I use and always have is the Redline synthetic assembly grease, just due to how thick it is and how well it stays. There is like a liquid style, well, can't really say liquid, but more like an oil. Not a fan of it, it does run off. This engine is going to sit for a bit once it's done, so I'd rather use this and know it's going to be there, even though I am going to pressure prime the engine to get oil up. So as soon as this engine starts, there will be oil pressure. It's not that big of a deal, but it's better to be safe than sorry and always use it. So I'll apply this, get this gear on, I'll fight with it for a bit because those two gears are now out of align. Yeah, we'll torque it up to 173 foot-pounds and it's going to be good fun on the engine stand, but just have to make it happen. Another tip, my fault, wasn't thinking, make sure you put the whole lot in time with the gear. There is timing marks on it. I just forgot and started taking it off, so I just marked where it come from. I know it hasn't moved, and I will double check once I get it apart. I just, to be quite honest, as being lazy, I probably shouldn't, but that's what happened. And I didn't feel like taking the flywheel lock off to be able to move it all again. So this stuff, you've got to buy brushes to put it on unless you want to use your fingers, but I find acid brushes work well. It's I've always used, and just be fucking generous with it. It's not going to hurt. Now, I'll probably get some complaints that I swear a lot, but I'm trying my best not to swear. That shit happens. It's never hurt anyone, but we'll see how well this goes on YouTube if it gets taken down because of a bit of swearing in it, but it shouldn't do. I'm more concerned about playing music in the background while I'm doing this, so it doesn't upset everyone. I am being a bit generous with this, but well, bigger the glob, the better the job, pretty much. So, get that on there. Now the bolt that I'm going to use to keep this on, I put it down, here it is. I might have to zoom the camera back in and maybe move it because it's probably not the best position, so we'll just move it. I did move it before, so it cleared the GoPro. I was doing a time lapse. Now, zoom in. There we go. That's better. Sorry that wasn't there before, guys. The bolt I'm using is a GM bolt. I believe these are in, I don't know if it's in the newer engines or some of the old ones, but it's, as you can see, grab the other one. They're a completely different bolt. Well, head-wise. And these are 12.9s while this is a 9.8. Yeah. As you can see, look, now the camera's auto-focusing, so. As you can see, they are pre-applied with Loctite, and I do believe these ones that I bought, sorry, are still a torque to yield. I never asked the question, no one ever mentioned it. I accidentally bought 6 of these, so if anyone desperately needs ones in Australia, let me know, I can sort you out. Otherwise, merchant automotive, stuff like this, it's the best place to go to get them. But yeah, as you can see, Loctite's already on it, and I keep moving our frame. This old bolt, even though it's got oil on it, you can sign to see there was Loctite on it from the beginning. But you pretty much just reuse the old washer and use this bolt instead. And actually, I can confirm it's torque to yield. I only just noticed it. On the front, there is a TY. That is torque to yield. I'm almost certain from what I've been told before. I'm sure if I'm wrong, someone will correct me and say how much of an idiot I am, but pretty sure TY is torque to yield on these bolts. So we'll get this on, and now you can watch the struggle of fighting to get the cam gear on, because it's helical. So you've got to, well, roll it on, and luckily the mark I made is still on there. So in theory, yep, cam did move. I will double check the timing once I get this on. Probably shouldn't use my fist, but that's a shame. And this is the hard part, because it's where these 2 gears have gone. Not the gears gone out of alignment, but the 2 halves spinning, so it needs a bit of a tap with the hammer. Not using a bare fake or anything, just something soft so I can gently persuade it on. As dirt flies off the hammer. And it pops off. This what makes it so interesting. Since everything goes out of alignment. I remember taking this off when I first disassembled the engine. It just does not make it easy, that's fucking for sure. Fucked anything yet. So, as I'm sure some people are aware, Duramax doesn't have a cam retainer at the end. It actually just uses the front, pretty much. It's not like the LS's, so you've kind of got to do it this way and drag it in. Now, I don't have my old cam. That should explain that. So the old cams are dowed. This one's keyed. So there has been cases where, well, I wouldn't really say there has been because there hasn't really. It's more something a lot of people do in the engine builds on these. They will take the cam out and key it just to be sure. People just trust keys more than they do a dowel, as the dowels have been seen in these engines to slip, mainly on the harmonic balancer. A lot of that's fixed by fitting a higher end balancer or having the crank keyed, but generic build, nothing like this, just a bit of horsepower. It's easier to fit a new balancer that's a friction fit. Alright, so it's taken up now. This is where it gets interesting. It's going to either go one or two ways. It goes well, or the engine ends up on the floor. Not going to lie, I have a feeling, yeah, see there, it's going to spin, grab the pin and right. Just our personal preference, I will do it twice, double check. Just so I know I'm happy. And that's it for the front gear. Now it's pretty much the same. Remove this bolt, now it's all back together. And then start fitting the rest of the front end in. There's a few there's a timing gear that we'll have to show you on the workbench because I have to retime it. I made a mistake and undid it when I shouldn't have, so we'll have to on the workbench retime a bunch of the reluctor gear. Oh, not a bunch, it's one. And then the reluctor plate that goes on here for cam position, it's not hard to get, you can't get it wrong. These off-center dowels, just put it in. And then we'll have to fight to get the oil pump on, which is, well, it's interesting, let's put it that way, because the way the nut works, and to get it on and off, you have to take the gear off to get the oil pump in and under, well not in and under, to get it in and then screw the gear on, because there's a bolt, if I remember correctly, it is this bolt right here, which I'm pretty sure you guys won't see. Well, where my finger is, you'll see it anyway once it gets there. You have to get that bolt in and you can't get it on with the gear. And I've realised on the pump I bought, the gear is a bit stuck. I don't know if that was on purpose or what, but yeah, it's going to make things interesting. Now something else, I'll show you this, because I was told about this when I was going to remove something. You can remove the cam. I just have to move this round. You can remove the cam and whole assembly without, well, removing the gear. These two holes here, once at time with the crank, line up with the retainer bolts, and you can pull the whole assembly out as one if needed. But if you're changing your crank cam, well, you've got to take that off anyway. I'll crack into it a bit more and we'll probably come back with the next part.